Welcome to Lawyer Boss Life.
Welcome back to Lawyer Boss Life. I'm Alay, law firm growth expert, author, and the founder of Law Firm Success Group.
And I'm Chelsea. I'm a law firm owner, entrepreneur, and toddler mom. I know it's possible to have excellent income, work 40 hours a week, and take time off because that's what I do.
In today's episode, we're talking about time, how to protect it, reclaim it, and finally feel like your schedule belongs to you again. And if you've been listening to this show for any length of time, you know how valuable I feel that time is. We can't get more of it, so you can't save it up. It's constantly going away, and you can't buy more of it either. But it's also the great equalizer because we all have the same amount of time in the day. The only difference is how we choose to invest that time. Chelsea, what's your perspective on time and freedom?
Oh my gosh. This is something I think that is very, very difficult for lawyers to wrap their head around. I hear this all the time when people make comments about typical hours a lawyer works is like 70 something hours, especially in big law. So, their schedules are what they are. And I can't even wrap my head around working more than 40 hours a week. Like I cannot wrap my head around that. And managing a family, a partner, activities outside. And so from day one, when I chose to open my own firm, my partner and I, our commitment to each other was we were not interested in working that type of life. There was no amount of money you were going to be able to pay me to get me to work more than 40 hours a week on average, of course. Some weeks it's less, some weeks it's more when you have trial. And so I really think this is a tough one for lawyers and such an important conversation to have, especially with your colleagues and what they're doing. So, I could talk about this forever because I just refuse to get caught up in that, the normalcy of what it is to be a lawyer these days.
It's the trap.
Mm-hmm.
It's a trap of I'm a practicing lawyer. I own my own firm. Therefore, I have to give it maximum effort for my firm, and I have to sacrifice my well-being. I have to sacrifice, my mental health. I have to sacrifice my happiness, all the focus on the firm. And it's incredibly noble, but it's also really misguided. And it's ironic because attorneys do game-changing work for clients. Whether your clients are individuals, like you deal with Chelsea, or whether your clients are companies, those companies are made up of people, and they do life-changing work for those people in those companies or those people directly. But they oftentimes do it at the cost to themselves. So we see this with lawyers, we see it with doctors, these professions that are so giving of themselves, and yet they give everything they've got into this. And it's just such a tragedy that they're not able to
Yeah.
pull back and have the discipline that you do, Chelsea, to say, no, enough is enough. There's certain lines I'm not going to cross. So let's talk a little bit about that, because you have a real bright line around working 40 hours a week and that being your maximum. Why do you think that you're able to set that and other attorneys are not? How are you thinking differently about this?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I am very transparent with my clients about what they should know as far as expectations and how to get in contact with me. I have a welcome packet that every client gets, which is an extension of our fee agreement, but goes into our hours, how to communicate with us. But it clearly says like, hey, this is our schedule. We do not answer emails outside of our office hours. We close our office at 1 and we do not respond. I have away messages on that remind people of that schedule. I even have provisions that if a client wants me to work after hours, they're going to pay time and a half. I have no problem doing it from time to time, but it's going to come at a cost because that's how valuable my personal time is. And so there's a couple ways I think I've been able to do that be as well, as far as, communicating with my clients about expectations, giving them the options of opportunities to contact me outside of that, but it's going to cost them, and managing my calendar. That's managing my calendar from a time blocking perspective, which I talked about extensively on another episode. Time time blocking, but also making those time blocks non-negotiable to the extent necessary. There's only one entity that really gets to dictate my time outside of my family, and that's the court, right? So the court sometimes is going to schedule things during periods of time I usually have allocated to other work or business management, and the
Right.
court gets to do that, right? But other than that, my family dictates my time first, and my structured time at work is my structured time at work. And I just stick to that boundary as often as I can, as many days as possible, because it makes everybody understand that I'm not going to waver for any client, right? Beyond what
I
the
want
needs
to I
are.
want to dig deeper though. I want to know why you put in all of these things to guard your time.
Because life is so short. I mean, there is so many other things outside of my job. I love my job. I love running a business. I like the work I do. My team is excellent. It's a huge part of my week, right? It's the biggest part of my week. But I have things that are not going to be the same forever, right? I have a 3-year-old. She's not going to be 3 forever. I don't want to miss out on this time. I don't want to be the mom that was always gone. I want to have the memories with her as well. I have a husband. I need to prioritize the things that we do together. We just celebrated our 11-year wedding anniversary this past weekend. And
Congrats.
yeah, thank you. And we didn't do a whole lot, but we were together the whole weekend. And I didn't have to think about anything else. And so I I don't know what it took, but there was no part of my life in which I pictured working more for somebody else, that's an employer or a client, than I was working for myself, and that includes the things outside. So, I don't know. I really love my life. I have a lot to live, and work is a part of that, but it's a part. It's not everything.
Yeah. And you have other things that are important to you in your life.
Yeah.
It's not just about work, 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 work. And the reason a lot of lawyers open up their own firms, ironically, is they're working on a law firm, they're working crazy hours. They're keeping a fraction of what they're billing. And so they say, I can go open up my own firm and keep everything that I bill, and I don't have to work all these hours. And so they do that, and they start their firm, and then all of a sudden they end up putting on a hat. I need practice management software. I better put on my IT hat.
Mhm.
Oh, I need to send out a bill. Let me put on my bookkeeper hat. Oh my gosh, I'm going to hire somebody. Let me put on my HR hat. And pretty soon they're spending a ton of time in their firm because they're being a lawyer. They're also going out and getting the business. And then they're wearing all these different hats and playing all these different roles to run their law firm. And of course, that's going to come at a cost. And the cost is freedom. So they turn around after 3 years or less, and they're completely miserable. They're just
Yeah.
spending all their time in their firm working on different aspects of it. They don't have any life outside of work, or their life is severely compromised. Like when I talk to people, they'll say, "Yeah, I take lots of vacation." I say, "Okay, so how much work do you do on your vacation?" "Oh, about half time. We'll go to Hawaii and the kids will be out playing, and I'll work in the morning, but I can enjoy my afternoons and evenings with them." And then I have to share with them that that's not really a real vacation. If you're working half the time, you're on vacation. Sorry, it's really not real vacation.
No, absolutely not. I maybe at most would bill, and when I say bill, it's more working depending on what I'm doing. Maybe at most an hour a day. And that is at most. Some days I don't do anything. It's just enough to check in with my team, let them know if there's something only I can answer. This is your window because I'm just, sitting outside, or I got up early, whatever it is. But that is most, because otherwise it's infringing on that time that's meant to be for myself, my peace of mind, my family. And this goes back to the fact of what you were saying as far as how you're operating your firm and the things you're doing. My firm is set up to run without me there. We have other attorneys, we have systems in place. Everybody knows their job, and they do it well. I trust every single one of my employees to do their job, whether I'm there or not, watching over them or not. So it's almost easier for them some days for me not to interfere with them when I'm on vacation and just let them do what they do best. Sometimes I think I can get in the way. So that actually just makes me sad that some people are like, "Oh yeah, I work half time." I'm like, "Oh gosh, I work probably a 16th of the time, like very little amount. And that's important. Again, it goes back to those quality hours. It's an extended weekend for yourself, right? Most of the time. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so when we work with our clients, one of the things we take them through is an exercise called the Paradise Planner. And
mm,
here's the cool thing about this: if you're not taking, I'll just say 2 weeks off, because 2 weeks off at a time is considered a big deal here in the U.S. They should
mm,
move to Australia and really see what time off looks like. But
yeah.
I digress. But here in the U.S., taking 2 weeks off is pretty good. If you're not doing that, the Paradise Planner is a framework for helping our clients do that, because when they are taking 2 weeks off, guess what they have to do? They have to have people who can do a lot of their work for them while they're away. They've got to have systems so the firm runs on its own. So all the things that they're doing to take time off directly directly enables their firm to run better as a result. And so what we're seeing is, yeah, clients take 2 weeks off, and then it goes to 3, and then it goes to 6 weeks, even some of them. Because once you have that system and that firm running on its own, right, that is incredibly empowering, isn't it, Chelsea? And that's what freedom really is about, because you can leave whenever you want.
Yeah. And you have to think about, what were you looking to get out of when you opened your own firm? Just so that you could have autonomy over the cases you took, you could manage the business the way you want. For me, I wanted to have a business and I wanted to have employees. I wanted to build something. So if I don't trust that team so that I can step away, then what's the point of it all, right? That's kind of how I feel. And in the same way that we're set up for me to go away, we're set up for my team to do the same. So everybody's job is able to be kind of overlapped with somebody else at some point, so that there's not a lot of stress on one person when another person goes on vacation. And this summer is, when people tend to take the most vacations. We've got, over the course of 2 months, all of our employees getting a week off at least, and it's timed perfectly. We organized it, we communicated, we made sure people's preference was prioritized as best as we possibly could, and everybody's getting their vacation in. And we all just keep moving forward, and the clients' cases don't suffer. Those are huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got that going because now you've built this team. And I understand if you're listening to this or watching this and you don't have a team in place, you might be wondering, oh my gosh, how can I do what Chelsea is doing? And you can start small. You don't have to take 2 weeks off and hire a bunch of people and put in a bunch of systems. Please don't
No.
do that. Just start small, bit by bit. Start by taking some time off. So, for example, one of the common issues we see is a lot of our clients end up working nights and weekends, and they work a lot of hours, nights and weekends. So maybe start by taking some of that time off. For you, if your evenings are most precious, maybe reclaim some of that time. If your weekends are most precious, maybe reclaim a day of that time, or half a day. Whatever you can. And there's two things you can do to address that. One is, block out your calendar. That's where you're making a promise to yourself, saying, "I'm going to block this out as me time. I'm not going to work. I'm going to do other things." The other thing you can do is figure out what it is you're doing during that period of time. So if you're doing client work, for example, because that's the only time where you can do it, look at your calendar and find another spot where you can block off for client work during the day, so it doesn't impact your evenings. One of the tools that we have is called the 20-10-5 rule, which is a way of thinking about how you structure your work week. And it's about 20 hours of client work, about 10 hours of business development and marketing and consultations, and about 5 hours of law firm admin. If you add all that up, it's about 35 hours. Many of our clients can grow their firm and have a wonderful quality of life in those 35 hours, or maybe 40 hours. But that's really where it starts. And so, Chelsea, for you, because you've done a great job of doing this, what are some of the things that you find most effective at helping you switch off and move to, I'm going to close down my work and I'm going to switch over to family time or me time?
Yeah, there's, a couple different things. So I'll kind of give a snapshot into my schedule. Mondays and Fridays, I work from home, and Tuesdays through Thursdays, I go into the office. So Tuesday through Thursday, it's a little bit easier because I'm driving in and driving out of the office. But as soon as I leave the office, my computer doesn't get reset up at home. It stays in my bag. I bring it home just because I like, for safety key purposes, to have it with me. But I don't open my computer again once I'm home. It's just in my office. I close my door. So Tuesday through Thursday, it's a little bit easier. Now on Mondays, I kind of treat my office like the garage door. So when I close my office door, it's like I'm coming in from the garage, right? I've driven home, parked in the garage, and I leave everything behind it. And I shut my computer and I don't open it again. Same with Fridays. Fridays, my office closes at 1. And sometimes I, want to work a little bit after if I have a slower Friday because it allows me to catch up. That's my flexible day. So that's where sometimes I can work less than 40 hours, or sometimes I use Friday as a catch up day. And it actually just makes me feel less stressed because I'm a little bit more set up for the week. But I still do the exact same thing. I have an away message on that says, I have limited availability every Friday unless I have a meeting with you. And our office closes at 1. And generally, I don't check emails after 1. I close my email app. And if I'm still doing other work, then that's fine. And then I close my computer and I walk out my office door and I close it. So, and that was not always easy for me. I also had to take my email notifications off my phone. So I used to have my work email as notifications. I have my work email on my phone, but I don't have the notifications on. So I never know if I have a new email and I never check it on my phone. It's behind the scenes. It's not even a main app on my phone. I have to go in to my work apps and click it. Little things like that just allowed me to not be so, you know, overwhelmed by the business that's happening around me, and it's structured in my 9 to 5. So those are little things that I do. And those are also discussions that my husband and I had when I was going to be working from home and running my own business. Where do we set the line? And how do we make sure we don't fall into those traps that a lot of lawyers and business owners can run into on top of people who work from home?
Yeah, and the nice thing about law firms, Chelsea, I don't even know if I've told you this before, but the nice thing about law firms, and one of the reasons I love working with them, is a small law firm is a high margin business, which
Mhm.
means there's plenty of room to hire people and implement systems. And so there really isn't any excuse. I know you may be listening to this and saying, no, look, Chelsea may not need to get the work done, but I do. I can't close my laptop like that and just expect that the work is going to wait till tomorrow, because sometimes it can't. It has to get done right away. And that's the only time I have to do the work. And I get all of those concerns, and they're certainly real for you. But we're here to share with you that there's a better way, there's a different way. You shouldn't have to do that. If your firm is run well and you've got the right people in place and you have the right systems in place and you're using good time management techniques, there is no reason that you need to work that late. If you're doing that, if you're working into the evening and you're working on weekends, and it's not out of choice, I mean, it's not out of a decision, it's out of necessity, there's something wrong with how your firm is being run. And that is the big issue that we work with our clients, to work through and help them solve. Now, if you're one of those people that loves to work and you just love working all the time, more power to you. Go for it. Have a wonderful time. But for most of us, we want to lead a life outside of work. And for lawyers, you should absolutely not be working much more than 40 to 50 hours a week unless you really have to. And we have clients that work under 40 as well. And they have very, very successful and lucrative practices.
Yeah, and I think the question that you have to ask yourself if you're the lawyer that's, working 9 to 5 and then coming home, maybe eating dinner, putting the kids to sleep and then going back to work, you ask the why question, right? Why are you doing the work after? Do you have deadlines and the work wasn't done because you have too many clients? Do you not have enough staff? Is it both? Those aren't necessarily bad problems to have. They're information, right? They drive what you do next. If you have too many clients, which, a lot of people say, you can never have too many clients when you're a lawyer, but if you have too many clients such that you can't manage it in a 9 to 5, that's a growth opportunity to hire somebody on. You hire that person to take the workload, and then you can hire more people, which in turn drives profits, right? Or if you're just not managing deadlines, that's a calendaring issue. Because when somebody says, "Oh, I need to get it done because it can't wait till tomorrow," well, is that an actual court deadline or is that a you deadline, right? Because it probably can wait till tomorrow. The billables are still going to be there. And so there's information that your firm can take from answering the why questions. And those are a lot of the exercises you and I have done together over time to say, why? Tell me why. Do you have a lot of work and you need to hire more people? Do you not have enough work? Like, what is the issue here and why are you doing it all? So, that's something I usually task people when I talk to them about it. When they tell me they're working 50, 60 hours and are exhausted, I say, but why? Right? Tell me why.
Yeah, exactly. Because there is no reason to do that unless you absolutely want to. And the bottom line is you can totally grow your firm and you can have a great life and you can get your life back. You can do it on your own. Chelsea and I have given you a ton of guidance on how to do that. Or if you want to do it faster, we can work together and build it together. So you can visit lawfirmsuccessgroup.com to learn more about that. And if this episode spoke to you, go ahead and send it to a colleague who's just stuck in that grind. And please like, follow, subscribe, and leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. What does freedom mean to you? Thanks for listening.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.